I had a different video planned for today, but screw it. Let's just jump into this. The 20 film visual effects Oscar shortlist has been leaked by Variety. From these 20 films, 10 of them will be selected for the final shortlist, and from those 10, the visual effects branch will choose 5 of them as the best visual effects nominees. What are the films that got shortlisted? Well, we got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Barbie, The Boys in the Boat, The Creator, Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Marvels, The Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, Napoleon, Naiad, Poor Things, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, Society of the Snow, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, and Wonka. Now, there were some surprises. I thought maybe Cocaine Bear would make the top 20. Like, maybe it would get in. But I should have figured, from last year, the fact that Beast, a movie that should have been nominated for visual effects, did not make the top 20. If that couldn't get in, why would Cocaine Bear, a movie that has worse visual effects than Beast, why would that get in? Also, The Meg 2, not showing up. The Meg 2 didn't show up here. Blue Beetle didn't show up. The Flash didn't show up. But the two biggest ones that caught everyone off guard. Okay, well, maybe one of them more than the other. The first one, I was right in saying wouldn't get nominated, but I didn't think I would be right this soon, and that's Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer will not be nominated for Best Visual Effects at the Oscars next year. I'm both shocked and not shocked. I'm not shocked in that it didn't get a nomination, because it didn't deserve a Best Visual Effects nomination. I mean, look, here's the thing. I love Oppenheimer. It's my favorite film of the year. But it is not an achievement in visual effects. The visual effects are very minimal, and what they do is not very groundbreaking. It's just not. Like, the explosion, the Trinity test explosion in the film is literally a smaller gasoline explosion. And I've already seen, I've told you this before in previous videos. I said I have heard visual effects artists say that the Trinity test did not look like a nuke, it looked like a gasoline explosion. And considering visual effects artists have to simulate physics all the time, they would not be impressed by this. And again, I wasn't expecting to be right this soon, but again, I'm right nonetheless. Oppenheimer is not a visual effects achievement. It did not deserve Best Visual Effects. What I was more shocked over was that The Little Mermaid didn't make the list of 20? The Little Mermaid, I said, was a lock to get in, and especially since Dune was gone. I was like, if Dune's gone, then Little Mermaid is easily getting in. I don't know what happened, if, maybe they just didn't see the movie, or anything like that, because, that's, one of the more impressive visual effects achievements of the year, and yet that didn't get in. How did The Little Mermaid not get in, and yet Naiad get in? How did Naiad get in? This does show some good signs for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The fact that Oppenheimer is not getting shortlisted, and again, not getting nominated, that would mean that it's looking very more likely that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse can get nominated, or at the very least be in the shortlist. Hell, the fact that Little Mermaid isn't in shows that I feel like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is now easily getting in visual effects, and depending on how the industry feels about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I think it is in contention to win. But let's talk about this a little bit more. Let's talk about, again, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm not really surprised over that. I'm expecting all 3 Marvel movies to make the top 10. I know no one's gonna like it, but I'm sorry, in a year as slim pickings of visual effects as 2023 has been, you might as well put all 3 Marvel movies in. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, on paper, this should be a shoo-in to get into the top 10, or even get nominated, but I'm not thinking it gets in the top 10 because it's a DC movie. It's in the DC universe. The visual effects branch hates the DC universe movies. The only one that got in was Birds of Prey, and I'm convinced that was a joke because for some reason they didn't put in Wonder Woman 84 in probably the worst competitive year for visual effects ever, which was 2020. All the competition was gone, and yet they still didn't go with Wonder Woman. And even in other years, they did not shortlist Man of Steel. They did not shortlist the Suicide Squad, the one directed by James Gunn. So it's like, why would they do it with Aquaman? Even, like, no matter how bad this year will be, they will not touch DC. Barbie, I kind of expected to make the top 20. I'm not expecting it to get in the top 10, though. No, absolutely not. The Boys in the Boat, I was like, that's weird. I'm like, really, that got in? Again, like, there are always those films that you just don't expect to get into the shortlist. Like, I wasn't expecting Elvis to get in the shortlist last year. The Creator, I'm thinking that could win. But, again, we'll have to see if Spider-Verse can actually get nominated. Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, well, I mean, at this point, I don't see how it doesn't get nominated. Godzilla -1, oh my god, I think I should have been taking this movie more seriously back when I did my Critics' Choice predictions, because at this point, I think it can and might actually get shortlisted for visual effects in the top 10. It might actually do that, because like the visual effects were done for like a $15 million budget, and they look really, really good, and there's a lot of visual effects happening, so we'll have to see. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I mean, it's more locked in than ever to get a nomination, so there's that. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I was expecting it to maybe get nominated, but having seen the film, it's weird. The more difficult visual effects, I feel like, were done extraordinarily well, which was the de-aging of Harrison Ford. Like, it's honestly some of the best de-aging I've ever seen in my life, and there's a lot of him. But there's also the third act of the film, and there's this really not good-looking environment that they're in. Killers of the Flower Moon, I kind of expected that to make the top 20. I know people are putting in the top 10, and I'm like, no, it's not getting in the top 10, because the visual effects in Killers of the Flower Moon are visual effects that are in practically every movie. Like, practically every movie. It's like small background stuff that every movie can have. So I'm not expecting that. The Marvels, I'm expecting that to get shortlisted. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I don't know if I can still say it's getting shortlisted, because like they don't do the Mission Impossible movies. The last Mission Impossible movie to get shortlisted was Ghost Protocol, and that was a very late December release. Naiad, I am a little bit surprised over that. It's like, why did that get in? Why did that get in? Poor Things, in a list of 20, I probably get. I still see people saying it's going to get nominated, but no. It's like everything I could find about Poor Things. It is not a visual effects achievement. It is like the visual effects in the film are merely an extension of its art direction, which is like production design is definitely where it's going to excel at. But the visual effects branch does not shortlist or even nominate, much less nominate indies and art house films. I said they wouldn't shortlist Everything Everywhere All at Once. I was correct. I said they wouldn't shortlist The Green Knight. I was correct. And even other art house films like Ad Astra, they didn't shortlist Ad Astra. Art house films just don't get shortlisted. They don't do it. I know a lot of people are saying it will, but they're only doing it because it's in Best Picture, and it would be an easy winner if it got nominated, because the Best Picture nominee usually wins. Society of the Snow got in the top 20, which is interesting. I need to find out what visual effects are in Society of the Snow. I haven't seen it yet, and it's going to be a while till I'm able to see it, so I need to find anything I can find about the visual effects in that film. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I do think that's now getting nominated. I don't, like, especially now with Little Mermaid gone. Like, with Little Mermaid gone and Oppenheimer not even making the shortlist either, it's like, I don't see how Spider-Verse misses out at this point. Transformers Rise of the Beasts. This could also maybe get nominated. Like, there's a good chance Transformers gets nominated now. Again, with Little Mermaid gone, it's like they could just stick with a tried and true franchise film, Transformers. Although they haven't really nominated a Transformers movie since Dark of the Moon, and they haven't shortlisted a Transformers film, at least in the top 10, since Age of Extinction. And finally, Wonka. At this point, I think it does maybe get in the top 10. I think it does get in the top 10 for visual effects. Those are the visual effects contenders, the 20 films in the running for visual effects. Oppenheimer and Little Mermaid, they are out of the race completely. So yeah, let me know what you think. And remember, this Saturday, I am posting my December Oscar predictions featuring Brother Bro from the Oscar Expert channel. We haven't filmed it yet. We're filming it tomorrow as I'm recording this. And consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you don't, maybe you'll turn into CGI.